I entered high school, I'd been slowly becoming less and less interested in normal academic things. I got decent grades in my classes, but didn't feel particularly interested in anything. I started out pretty young with an affinity for artistic stuff, though. I was always drawn to art classes before others. I took part in weekend community art opportunities and made crafts at home nonstop. Despite growing up with all these opportunities to create and be creative, I still felt like this was all meaningless. I enjoyed creating, but I didn't feel like anything I was making was art, so to speak. And I had people encouraging my creativity, don't get me wrong, especially my parents. But call me cynical, I thought they were just doing the whole supportive parents gig and playing a role they were meant to. To me, they were obligated to like the things I created, and this made it easy for me to write off the things I was making as art. We were required in my high school to be signed up for an art course each semester, whether it be theater, dance, or fine arts. And for my first semester, I wanted something that I could stick with for all 4 years. As photography was the most interesting to me, I decided that was the one. As some of you may know, black and white film photography is an excellent way to quickly fall in love with a craft, as the things you create come to fruition right before your eyes, and you begin to think, that looks really good. Hopefully we've all experienced it. That moment we have with a piece or a project. We think to ourselves, this is something I'm good at, or even, this is something I might want to continue for the rest of my life. For me, photography felt like it was a step in the right direction in terms of finding something I was interested in again. And then something happened. My teacher asked to speak with me after class, and I became slightly uneasy. I walked out of our darkroom that day into our regular studio, and he was sitting next to an empty chair with my portfolio in front of him. Let me back up for a moment. I went to a boarding school of about 400 students where the faculty-to-student ratio was 1:7. Our community was unsurprisingly very close-knit, and if a student was slipping up or started to struggle, our faculty's first task was to nip that in the bud. This is so important to our faculty that each month, there are faculty meetings where our dean of students will sift through a PowerPoint of every student's photo, and one by one their advisors have a chance to talk about that student and the things that they can do to help lead them to success. My point is, if you're slipping up or having a hard time, like I was, people know about it. Lucy, my teacher goes, you're not in trouble, so don't look so scared, but I want to talk to you about some of your classes. Your advisor reached out to me and told me you really like this class, and it seems like you're having a good time. So I feel like you should hear someone tell you, but the photos you're taking are really good. I was confused for a moment. He was giving me praise, but it seemed like a serious situation, so I was just waiting for the ball to drop, basically. Are you having trouble in any other classes? You know we talk about student success here each month, so are things going okay for you? My problem was simple, and I knew it. I wasn't connecting to things. School had been easy for me growing up. Simple as that. I'd exert little effort and always come out with good grades. And it was the same for sports and other things too. My parents called me a jack of all trades, master of none, because everything came kind of naturally, but became very boring just as quickly. My teacher said, I think you might lack some connection. And what I see from your photos is that you have a way of making me feel connected to what you're shooting. And I think that's pretty special. It was just this one conversation that sent me into photography overdrive. I felt like he was witnessing a connection that I'd felt myself, but never been able to identify or hone in on, because to me, it was just another thing I was good at, but would eventually tire of. But no, I felt different after that conversation, and within the art community as a whole. My teacher submitted one of my photographs to a contest outside of our school, and towards the end of the year, it was like out of sight, out of mind. Late May rolled around, and the photo came back with a $300 prize and a first-place ribbon attached to it. I could sit and explain how I felt that I grew as an artist and how that's led me to my passion for art now, but I think what I want to draw on from this story is my teacher. Creativity wasn't born inside me when I decided to pick up a camera, but to have someone take an interest in how I grew as an artist only made me want to grow more, and that's the light bulb that went off in my head. While I know he spoke to me initially to get to the bottom of my motivational issues, he was supporting and lifting up a part of me that I knew was there but never gave any recognition to. And I think that the human brain needs recognition as a motive to move forward. At least mine does. I loved having someone appreciate my work. And what I loved more than that was having someone advocate for me as an artist before I even knew how to, or that that was even a thing. The work I was producing wasn't amazing by any means, but to have someone validate what I felt looked good only made me want to produce more. Not just to be able to show other people, look what I can do, but to have this idea in mind that this is something I think is beautiful and the world will too. And my sense of confidence was born. Artists need this innate sense of confidence to be artists. Otherwise, we're just people who create, and anyone can simply create. This is why I believe it's so important to instill in our students a sense of pride and confidence in their work. What you create is wholly yours, and that's enough to make it art. Once you own it as art, it's in the universe as art, and you are the artist. It took me forever to learn this lesson, but I know it all started with that one teacher. It solidified my love for photography and later inspired my love for other art forms. And I still have a relationship with this teacher, and I still send him the photos that I take. Creativity is something that everyone has, but only a few people see it as a powerful thing. The people who see it that way are artists. And each artist had to be taught by one before them that their art is a powerful thing. My teacher taught it to me. I continue to learn it every day from my peers, and I hope to be able to teach it to all of my students as well. After all, our students are the ones we're in this line of work for. Art educators have a unique opportunity presented to them when they agree to become art educators. They can observe creativity manifesting within students and either encourage and support it or hope that the student finds it themselves. We all have creativity within us, and it grows as we do. My younger brother loves to make films, and I consider him creative. My cousin Jack makes fidget spinners, which is definitely creative. Even people we consider to have a distinct lack of creativity have ideas and passions that make them creative in some way or another. My point is that we all have creativity within us, but it's how we nurture that creativity that allows for it to grow within a student. It's how we speak about art that allows for it to grow. It's how we teach them to look at the art that allows for it to grow. And it's how we view art ourselves that allow for us to instill the same sense of confidence within our students that we had to learn from artists before us. Artistry and creativity, it is not a path that's never been walked before, but it is a path that tends to require a guide, as it's incredibly daunting. And yes, I say daunting because I think it's brave to pursue art and to call yourself an artist. It takes bravery to put all of your creativity on the line and to be vulnerable to others' opinions. But those who do it successfully were either born with this innate sense of confidence, or it had to be learned. So I ask you all to think as you continue on through life, or even just today. Do you think you would walk the path of creativity? Would you be too scared to walk down the path? The amazing thing about students is that they don't know to be scared unless they're warned of something scary ahead. And why warn them about what's ahead when instead you can tell them it doesn't matter what's down that path, because you will be okay regardless of the obstacles you face. And that's what I believe we should be teaching students. In a world that's taught us that it's difficult, competitive, and impossible to thrive as an artist, we say to you, you can do it, and you will be amazing.